If you're struggling to get your salespeople to sell as well as you, it's likely because of one simple reason. You may not understand the sales process nearly as well as you think you do. So when you have salespeople run through the process you built and sales don't happen, we think it's the rep's fault. But is it? So about 10 years ago, if you would have asked me if I believed I was good at sales, I would have told you confidently, yes, and I would have believed it. I sold better than anyone else in the company ever did, and I said the same ignorant phrase many business owners say at some point earlier on in their career. If you get me in front of a lead, I'll close them 9 times out of 10. And I truly believed it. And I realize now it was because of 2 things, my track record and my perceived track record. And I'll get to both of those and the differences in a second. So in my career, I've been able to spend time with and get to know some really successful people, many of which have come from a life of being broke to earning income at the top 1%. People like Jordan Zimmerman, broke startup to a $4.4 billion ad agency. Ed Milet, broke startup to a $500 million net worth. Naveen Jain, middle class to $8 billion net worth, and many others. And in all my conversations with them, there's something I noticed. They all realized at some point that getting great at the sales process would have had a significant impact positively on their career. Now notice I didn't say sales, I said the sales process. Process being defined as a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular goal. The reason I wasn't able to get my sales reps at my company to hit targets early on was because the process that I created wasn't nearly as good as I thought it was. In fact, I couldn't have had much confidence in it because my actions contradicted that theory, since whenever I was making a sale, I didn't even use the process I gave them. That's a sign. And I learned later on that I wasn't alone in this, as I've had a few mentors share with me that earlier on in their careers, they had the exact same problem, realized the same thing, and they took that as a sign that they needed to create a real sales process, something most others could do with proper training. So earlier, I mentioned that my confidence in my sales ability was built on 2 things, my track record and my perceived track record. So let's start with my perceived track record, as that was the biggest eye-opener for me. Yes, I was one of those ignorant people that says stuff like, if you get me in front of a lead, I'll close them 9 times out of 10. And I didn't. I couldn't. For the simple fact alone that we disqualify about half of the prospects we meet with. So at my best, I'm already 5 out of 10. And no, I didn't close 9 out of those 10 qualified prospects either. But it felt like I did, because I suffer from the same disorder many people that strive to be great suffer from: failure amnesia. Kobe Bryant once said, I have a short memory. I forget about the last shot and I move on to the next one. Derek Jeter also said, I have a short memory. I forget about the strikeouts and I move on to the next at-bat. Even Tom Brady said, I have a short memory. I forget about the previous game and I move on to the next. Others that have claimed to have a short memory when it comes to failures are Richard Branson, Robert Kiyosaki, Mary Barra, and even Elon Musk said, I have a terrible memory for failure. I forget about it quickly and move on to the next thing. I realized that the reason it felt like I closed 9 out of 10 leads was because I blacked out the ones that I didn't close from my memory and just focused on the next opportunity. And this same exact thing has happened with many of our clients too. I remember there was this one guy in South Florida, had a maximum confidence, said he closes 99% of the leads he meets with. And so we measured it. We measured his contact rate, show rate, book rate, close rate, and guess what his close rate actually was? He only closed about 21% of his overall lead count and 58% of the prospects he actually met with. That's not a terrible close rate, but only half as good as what he felt it was. Why? He had failure amnesia. Now, even though his perceived track record was only about half as good as what he thought, his actual track record was better than everyone else's. And when we dove in, we understood why. He had the same problem I had, a broken sales process. In fact, he didn't even use the one he ordered his team to use. And every pitch he did was always a little different. And when I had him take me through his sales process, it was just all over the place. So why is he still closing so much better? Because even though he was missing so many important ingredients to a solid sales process, he had a few very important ingredients nailed down, and many owners and great salespeople do have these down. And it's the 3 C's. The first C is clout. Many business owners show up as, and often even mention in the sales process, that they're the owner. Well, why? Because either consciously or subconsciously, we know it's a positioning advantage. We know, or at least we believe, that the average prospect will give more attention and respect to the owner of the company than the sales rep. And the very first step in the long popular sales framework, AIDA, is attention. So it makes sense. However, I've had, still have, and have met many awesome sales reps that carry themselves with this owner mentality. The way they show up, walk, talk, and act are all in the same way one with ownership or a very high seat in the organization would. About a year ago, I went to a gym in Birmingham while out there to speak at a conference. And throughout the entire experience, this woman took such incredible care of me. She asked great questions, she listened intensely, smiled a ton, and introduced me to everyone as we walked by. Her energy was just so powerful, very inviting. I assumed what many others would and asked how long she owned the gym for, and she mentioned she's not the owner. And I love when that happens. And because of that, she actually earned my attention even more than if she was the owner. So if you're a salesperson, you're watching this, work as though you've been running the place for years. Don't let your position dictate the way you act. Let the way you act dictate your position. The next C is client.
Hey, be sure you stick around because we're only getting warmed up.
The business owner tends to know the client better than anyone else. They know their pain points, desires, wants, needs, limiting beliefs, typical lifestyle, all that. Many average salespeople spend a ton of time talking about the product or the company, and although it's valuable to have great product and company knowledge and get the prospect sold on both, it's actually more important to ask great questions and truly learn about the prospect. Not only because that knowledge helps guide your next line of questions, but also because it helps you increase the first C, which we talked about, clout. Now, I'll tell you what I mean. So 2 years ago, almost to the day, I was playing basketball and I ruptured my patella tendon.
It's a touchy subject.
What?
Your knee?
Hey, it is. It always makes me cry. Surgery the next day, straight leg brace for almost 6 weeks, and a year-long recovery to get back to doing many of the things I really enjoy doing. During that year, I met this guy at a mastermind that I was at, and he started asking me questions. Questions like, when did it happen? When it ruptured, did it feel like you got hit in the knee with a bat? Has your quad started activating during a press exercise yet? Does your knee still pop a little when you go down the stairs? The answer was yes to all of those, but what do you think I was starting to believe more and more as he talked? He knew at least a decent amount about my injury and what I was going through. And like many probably would, I believe that if he understands my injury this deeply, well, then he probably has good knowledge on the solution or the recovery process. Voltaire said, never judge a man by his statement, but judge him by the questions that he asks. By understanding my injury so well, he was able to ask incredible questions around it, causing me to believe that this person also has a solution. And when you know the ideal prospect as well as the owner, you can ask excellent questions, making it easier for the prospect to trust your recommendations and beliefs. The third C, and the most important, is conviction. The best salespeople are 100%, without a doubt, convinced that what they sell is the best out there for that thing. Now, for a business owner, it's easy to have that feeling. Your bag is filled with way more life-changing stories, positive reviews, compliments, and all the great things your company's collected along its history. You design your company very thoughtfully to be the perfect solution, so of course you're convinced it's the best thing out there since sliced bread. By the way, that expression's pretty outdated. We've definitely come up with better inventions since that. Credit cards, smartphones, internet, microwaves. For the average salesperson, it's harder for them to match your level of conviction surrounding the company and what it can actually do for the prospect. This is why it's incredibly important for you as the owner to share stories regularly and update your people on company and customer wins, or you as a salesperson to seek out those stories and learn the company history, ask for great stories, and read their online reviews. At our company, there's not a day that goes by that at least 2 or 4 stories and wins aren't shared in our company Slack channel, not just from me, but from account managers, from leaders, support team, and even salespeople share great customer wins. Also, at our quarterly all-hands meeting, I make it a point to share stories and highlight great things our company and the people in it are actually doing. If you as the owner or sales rep have these 3 C's down, clout, client, and conviction, you could be mediocre at best in regards to your sales process and still put up decent numbers. But if you master the 3 C's and follow a strong sales process, well, you'll start selling at God level. That was dramatic. Now, of course, there are other things like building rapport, pricing, overcoming objections, all these that are excellent to master, but those don't really have any impact on the outcome if everything I just talked about isn't dialed in. However, if you do want to learn how to overcome any objection in the sales process, I did a whole training video on that, and you can watch it 100% for free at loudrumor.com/no objections. The extra customers we get served by just selling better. Mark Cuban said, sales are the lifeblood of every business, and mastering sales means mastering the art of business itself. And there's a difference between being good at sales and being good at sales process. I don't think I would have gotten that point 15 years ago as clearly as I do today. and I hope you can respect and appreciate the overall value that comes along with working hard to build a great sales process in your business. And of course, if you found value in this video, please like and comment below with your takeaways, your experience in this topic, good or bad. And if you have any requests for future training that we put out, please share that as well.